Alright, so I'm about to, warning, this is what I consider the worst, the scariest bits of the Bible for me, and I'm just going to read it, and I'm going to, try not to digress too much. It's impossible. I hope you're okay today. Thanks for listening. So this, I want to set the scene, and it's interesting if you listen to my other video about the technology, the possibility that King Solomon's empire as well. You see, King Solomon was granted with he was known for his wisdom because he pleased God so much, and he asked for wisdom to rule God's people. So he was granted the wisdom and knowledge, and that's why he was, at the beginning, he was a success. Unfortunately, at the end, it went wrong for him, but that's a different story. We're supposed to, even though it went wrong for him in the end, which is quite strange. I think it serves a lesson to people that no matter how well you do, you've always got to keep your guard up because it could always go wrong. And yeah, it went wrong for him in the end. And this is what we're going to deal with. So, but when King Solomon's reign, which was like the beginning of like the best bit really, or like before, in Jehovah's favour, the best bit, his sons went, because he went bad at the end, he got a wife that worshipped false gods, and he got swayed by her beauty and mesmerization. So yeah, and in the end it went bad, and that means his son and then his son's son generations later carried on the bad traditions. So you've now got, in a few generations, King Solomon, who's been like pure gold, done everything right and been granted everything, the largest kingdom the world will ever see, has ever seen and will see, in all this. So, and that's why I speculated, well, if God's going to give, God who created the earth and knows its capabilities for free energy, if he's going to give Solomon wisdom to rule the greatest kingdom the world's ever seen, then wouldn't it make sense that he would have given him clean technology? For instance, in this world, we get an iPhone 1, then an iPhone 2, then an iPhone 3, and so on. And I've heard that they've already got like an iPhone 5 when they bring an iPhone 1 out, but they do it because obviously for the money, so you get one, then the other, then the other, when really we could just jump from 1 to 5. So they're holding back number 5 and 4 and 3 and 2, and then progressively giving us the lower numbers and keeping the higher numbers for themselves, really, aren't they? But and that's all because of money. But in the world I see, in Solomon's world, it wasn't based on money. It was based on, wanting to rule the kingdom the best way. And really, I suppose it's keeping the people happy, isn't it, to a certain degree? So it strikes me that he would have been granted, with wisdom and knowledge, surely would come technological capabilities, but for good, not for money. So why wouldn't, I imagine, like, let's say his kingdom was the future utopia that we actually suspect is coming, but according to the Bible premise, he received the greatest kingdom the world has ever seen and will ever see. So going on this premise, any future utopia with clean energy and floating things, and would have actually already happened in Solomon's empire, because there was no greater kingdom after it, as well as previously to it. So again, the Bible now explains all these strange things all over the world because the future's already happened. Cool, isn't it? Makes your brain tingle. So what I'm going to read now is, I think this guy's called Jehoshaphat, and he's one of the descendants, and he's a king, obviously. He's one of the descendants of Solomon. I think he's like the 3rd or the 4th. Like I say, little things I get wrong. So now we're at the point where, because obviously him and his father and his forefathers up to the end of Solomon's have been worshipping now false gods. So, and these are Jehovah's people. He rescued them, he gave them the knowledge and potentially all this technology, and now it's all gone wrong. And of course, Jehovah, being the God he is, he lets things happen. He didn't just stop the rebellion at 10 people or 100 or 1,000. He's let it go on, a bit like he does now. He just lets things go on, and eventually because these are recurring events through history. This is why it's scary, because this is a mirror image of what's going to happen. This is one of the worst examples that I can think of that's happened in the past, according to the Bible premise. And this is a metaphor and a very good example of what I believe what's coming. And that's why I found this book, these two pages, very scary. So we've set the scene. So we're now at the point where the people, God's people, there's always some left, isn't there? There's God's people in this corrupt, bad city, that's run by the corrupt king who worships false gods rather than the true God who actually rescued them, protects them, feeds them and looks after them, makes sure, and he'll even make sure they're not attacked. There's time. Anyway, it comes to the end of it. At the end of this, after all the drama, Jehovah gives them rest in the form of it's up to the beginning. At the beginning, I'm about to read, they have to have a battle, but before that, they've just had 10 years rest. And in those days, obviously, no army, no police. You know, if people want to attack you, they can. So it's very it's very rare for people to fortified cities and kingdoms to have rest. But the God Jehovah granted these people rest after fighting for him. And it's in other places it's referred to as the torrent of the valley. It's a place where the prophet Elijah Jehovah told him to, after all his missionary work and all the trauma and all the people telling him he's wrong and all the negativity getting to him, he told him to, right, now get up and go and retreat to the torrent of the valley. And it's interesting, he says there, birds will bring you bread and meat on a daily basis. Now obviously birds can't make bread, and it strikes me they'll probably eat the meat. But then, so I think, right, okay, well, that's not physically realistic. So it's a metaphor. So what does that mean? So the torrent of the valley. So a valley, he's kind of isolated, isn't he? He's alone in a valley, away from everyone. And the torrent, that's like a lot of something. Now, the nature is birds, aren't they? Birds are nature. And nature is just another word for God, people who don't believe in God. If you don't believe in God, you call it nature in science. If you do believe in God, you call it creation and God. So it's just different words for different things. You want to describe God without actually saying God, you call it nature. And birds are nature. So in this metaphor, nature, i.e. God, is bringing this man who's isolated and resting, catching respite from his work. So he doesn't have to go out and get food, which of course in them, you don't just go down the shops, you have to actually get food. You know, so that's why it's a violent place. Everyone just on a daily basis, everyone's just killing animals left, right, and centre. Because like, where else are you going to get a bacon sandwich from? You know, you get up, kill your pig, get a bacon sandwich. It's a violent place. That's what I mean. It's extremely violent. I'm going to digress a bit, but you'll like this bit. And to all the young people out there, you think like God's rules are stuffy. In the creation, it says that it clearly says fruit and herbs were created for man's consumption. And say for instance when you consume basil or something like that, it's the special thing about basil is its flavour, isn't it? It doesn't have any psychedelic properties, however it has flavour. And the reason we know it has flavour is because God made basil, and he also made us with receptors that taste the basil. See, again, you need an input and output device. You need the basil to create the flavour that has the flavour, and you need us to be able to actually taste it. Like when you burn your tongue, you can't taste anything. So imagine eating without that all the time. Crap, wasn't it? So we were given taste buds, receptors for things that were created. We're both created by the same person. This goes in there. Okay, easy. And we were able to enjoy food rather than just eat it for necessity, which is another thing I think we take for granted. Like I say, when you burn your tongue, no point eating it. You don't enjoy it, do you? Like, I'm not eating that. I only eat it when I can enjoy it. Nice ice cream or something. So, and so our taste buds are receptors, and everywhere in our body we have receptors. And we have receptors for the things. We were created with receptors because the things were created for us to receive. So, and let's look at the things that were created for us to receive. Fruit and herbs. What's a herb? I know what a fruit is. What's a herb? Well, it's like basil, isn't it? It's green. And I don't know, where's it grow? It grows in the ground, doesn't it? It grows. What do you do with it? I don't know. Basil? I don't know. I don't really know, to be honest. I'm guessing it grows and then you pick it off the plant. Is that right? Yeah, that'd be right, wouldn't it? You pick something grows and you pick it. Right, okay, so you've got a green herb that's grown in the ground and you pick it. And then what do you do with it? Well, it's a bit wet. You have to let basil dry out and then you put it on your dinner, don't you? Right, okay, right, so you put it on your dinner. Well, no, you chop it up or grind it. Right, okay, so you chop it up. So you pick this thing off that's grown out of the ground that we've got receptors for, that was made for us, that we're told in the Bible that is for our consumption by God. Where we dry it out, we dry the basil out, we chop up the basil or put it in a grinder, whichever one's preferable, and then we consume it. And why do we do that? Well, that's a bit of an effort, isn't it? Why do we go to all that effort? Oh, our receptors like it. Oh, okay, what, the receptors that God made? Yeah. Right, so okay, right, that's interesting. So God's happy with green things being grown out of the ground, being ground up, and then consumed, and our receptors receiving them. That's interesting, isn't it? That's a nice concept. I like basil, so that's really good.